Hey everybody, welcome to Tony's LPs Are Us. Thanks for stopping in, really appreciate it. Got the Elvis light lit, so we are rolling and we're gonna have a good time today. Real simple, gonna give you my impressions of this record, Rhino High Fidelity. This is a numbered one. This is about a little over 1,000, so it's a low number of the 5,000 that were run. Of course, there's multiple copies floating around. I'm just gonna talk about this one and we're gonna go over it. Now the cover, very similar to the originals, and I have two originals. I have a promo that I borrowed from Don. Thank you, Don. I also have my original Polydor. They're both Polydor, but one's a promotional, has a sticker. It's not white label. We're going to talk about what's in the dead wax. Now, this record overall sounds great. The promo and my copy were very, very close. The promo was a little bit cleaner, had a little bit less noise. Maybe my copy had a little bit more wear to it. But overall, once the music kicked in, that wasn't an issue at all. Very dynamic. I got a pretty good soundstage. I watched some other reviews and they were talking about a narrow soundstage. But on my system with my BMW speakers, I got a really nice soundstage, and vocals were right in the center where they should be. Not a lot of crazy psychedelic stereo effects or anything of that nature. Just straightforward, great rhythm section with Elvis's rhythm section from his touring band. We're going to talk about who's on the record. But overall, my two copies that I had to compare it to this one were pretty close. I give the edge to the promo, and maybe we give the edge to the promo because the promo is an RL sterling on both sides. You have that RL initial. Now when I read about this record, there was always the holy grail was the RL, and I did get to listen to the RL. It's a little bit better than my copy. My copy is a MASTERDISK on both sides, PRC, and PRC on one side sterling. So one side sterling, one side's MASTERDISK, and MASTERDISK may be scratched out, so I'm not sure about that. But Don's promo, which sounds great, I'll show it to you here, is a RL, so hats off to that. And you can see the label is the same. Inner gatefold is the same as my copy and also the High Fidelity series. Normally, if a High Fidelity reissues a record and the record was not a gatefold, they make these great gatefolds, but in this case, they didn't have to do it. Now, color-wise, as far as the jacket goes, I would say very close. You could see the promo. There's the promo colors. And here are the new Rhino High Fidelity. And that's what we're going to talk about in this instance. We're going to go over my impressions. Like I said, I'm not going to do a review because everyone knows these records. Everyone knows that this is the template for Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, and on and on and on to the biggest selling, band in the world at that point, selling most vinyl in the world at that point, and records, 25 million copies, whatever, Rumors, Fleetwood Mac, Tusk, Mirage, as they go, as they get now. This isn't my favorite incarnation of Fleetwood Mac. I prefer, I think, the Robert Welch years. And talking about Robert Welch, Mick Fleetwood was looking for a guitar player. He walked into the studio where Keith Olsen, I guess, the producer and owner of that studio, was showing off his recording of these guys, Buckingham NICKS. And Mick was taken aback by the great guitar player, the harmonies, I think he listened to Frozen, so he was kind of frozen in his tracks when he heard that. No pun intended, but pun intended. So he loved the acoustic, he loved the crescendo of the rising guitar, and he goes, I would like to get this guy. Long story short, they negotiated. Of course, Buckingham said, if you want me, you have to take Stevie, and that was probably the best coincidental luck that Mick Fleetwood ever had in his life, unless he, even if he had won a $1 million lottery, that was a score that just because he walked into that studio and needed a guitar player or heard the record and thought this guy could probably replace Robert Welsh. He didn't even know what a great songwriter Buckingham was, or was Stevie a great songwriter? So we'll talk about that. That's for you Fleetwood Mac aficionados. Now, overall, record's dynamic. The original record is dynamic. Great acoustic guitar. Great, like I said, my sound stages were great on both of my records on my system. That's just my system. Every system's different. But the acoustic guitar and the way it's presented is attacks and decays. Drums are right behind. I think on one track, the drums were more to the left with the bass. Bass overall was really good. There's a few bass players on here, so I'm not sure who does what, or a few drummers. You got Jim Keltner and Ronnie Tutt. Ronnie Tutt, I love. He just passed away not too long ago. So let me just talk about who's on the record before we start. You have, of course, Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, you know that. Drums, Hoppy Hodges, Jim Keltner, and Ronnie Tutt. Now, Ronnie Tutt was a great session guy in between working with the Taking Care of Business band, Elvis's live band. If you've ever seen any videos, that's Ronnie Tutt back there. He follows Elvis's every move. That's how he was hired, because he was able to accentuate Elvis's move, and I think he kind of said that in a few interviews, because Elvis probably interviewed hundreds of drummers to tour with him. You have guitar, Lindsey Buckingham, Waddy Witzel, bass, Mark Tulin, Lindsey Buckingham and Jerry Schiff, keyboard, Peggy Stanriff, strings arranged by Richard Halligan, percussion, Jorge Calderon, Lindsey Buckingham, Happy Hodges, and synthesizer, Monty Stark. And this was produced and engineered, like I said, by Keith Olsen, who had that studio and was showing off this record. So let's get into the record. Let's get into Rhino's presentation of this. Now, that's saying, the first two copies I played the promo, then I played my copy, then I played this copy. And then I really concentrated on on the first side of all records and got into that. So I'm going to talk about how that, but overall, this Rhino, here's the original Rhino inner with a label, very close to the original, a little bit more articulate, a little bit more dynamic. You got a little bit more tambourine, those subtle hi-hats, the subtle percussion, different percussions that were used, which they don't break down on the album. I guess if you go to Wikipedia, you could probably read a whole book on this record. But overall, the soundstage is a little bit more prominent, and I think I got a little bit more of a stereo effect, but not much from the promo, or not much from my original, which was a MASTERDISK and a Sterling. So this record, quiet, dead quiet, black quiet. I hate to say dead quiet, but black. You hear crickets, you just hear the music come in. Now, dynamic record overall, more dynamic on the Rhino, of course. You would expect that, but not much different, which is good, because the original record was so well recorded by Keith Olsen and so well done at that studio. I believe it was the first record recorded at his studio. I think the Rhino is a little bit more musical, if I could articulate that, more musical, more fuller. You get the room fills a little bit better, because it sounds like they push things up a bit up front. Separation. Bass was good on all three copies. Bass on my two originals, the promo and my original, very balanced, wasn't muffled. Just a flawless record. There's not much on this record as far as time. I believe total time is less than 36, 37 minutes. So you're able to squeeze in, a few tracks on a whole side which gives it, I think, that dynamic range. Even the last track has no distortion on my original copies. Of course, the Rhino is great. No sibilance. It would be interesting to check the dead wax as far as the grooves, and I'm going to do that now that I think about it. Promo was very acoustic. Great soundstage, like I said. The track 3 that I thought, let me see here on side 1, which was, I'm going to have to pull this to read it, but you have all influences here. For me, I'm not crazy about the record. I love it because it's a template for Fleetwood Mac, but the styles vary. You've got the harmonies are what makes the record, and the guitar player what makes the record. Everything else could have been any session people, to be honest with you. But the styles, where he got styles from, or I'm talking Buckingham, although they both wrote tunes on this, they go back and forth and they talk to each other and duet. Harmonies are great. You got Everly Brother harmonies. You have Crosby, Stills, and Nash harmonies. Laurel Canyon, they were California. They moved to California. But you have a couple tracks or one track that stands out as if it was a Cat Stevens record, and that's on side 1. Without a Leg to Stand On, he just comes out and does a Cat Stevens impersonation. Track 4, Crystal, which is a Stevie track. She wrote it. Great harmonizing. There you can hear the cymbals, but in the Rhino, you hear the cymbals a little bit better. You have Django, which is the great instrumental, the great Django, kind of a tribute, flamingo, classical, acoustic. Now, Buckingham is showing off on this record. He's just a virtuoso. And for someone so young, and for this to be his first, I believe, first recording, because him and Stevie were working on tapes in a coffee house, in a warehouse there. She was involved with her grandfather. It's all in these great notes in here. You get the great notes that are here. Here's the contact sheet. So take the time out to read these notes by Frick. Who is it? David Frick wrote these. I believe Rolling Stone guy. And you have the contact sheet, like I said, which shows the jacket covers, the different shots from the contact sheet. And Stevie Nicks did not like the cover. She preferred the cover inside the gatefold, which I showed, of just a casual flower child type of thing. But let's go over the notes. Side 2 comes out with that great guitar stuff. Really rocks. Soundstage is great. You get harmonizing. The drums kick in. I don't know if it's Tut or Keltner, but they're both equal as far as Keltner did a lot of stuff. But Ronnie Tut, I just like him because I could watch an Elvis tape, Elvis in concert later on after 68, 69, or after 69, and that's Ronnie Tut back there. Harmonize is great. Blues bottleneck stuff on Lola. You know, he shows off with the blues bottleneck. A lot of different styles here. Dynamic picking across the board. He makes the record. The Frozen Love, that's what hooked, I believe. I think that's what hooked Mick Fleetwood when he heard it, to have Buckingham, join the band. Or I don't even think he had an audition. I think he was in based on that record. Of course, Stevie's brought in, and it was just a blast. It was just historical. It's like First Contact and Star Trek and stuff, when we meet the Romulans or whoever, Vulcans or whoever, First Contact. But the crescendo on Frozen Love, the guitar work, the intertwining, just goes up and up and up, and then it levels back down. Overall, okay, this is the bottom line. Should you buy, because I bought it, should you buy the Rhino for $50 now, maybe $40 if you could get one? Or did you buy it? You're happy you bought it. But if you want it, if you don't have it, I would say for the price, you're not going to get a promo RL for less than $200. You're not going to get a clean copy that I have, a Master Disc Sterling, for probably less than $100. And you may not get a clean copy. You might get VG Plus with whoever graded it. His grading is a little bit more favorable to trying to sell it. So you're not going to get a clean copy for the price that you could get this for. So overall, you get the great jacket, you know, Kevin Gray cut it. We all know that. I didn't mention that. Kevin Gray cut it, the great jackets. This is numbered, and this is in the early 1000s of 500. Got a little bump on it. Still have to talk to Rhino people. I didn't call them yet, but the packaging wasn't great on this record. No packaging to protect the record inside the box. We talked about that. But overall, Rhino does a great job with records. They just need to do a better job on packaging. So there you have it. Promo first, my copy, and then this copy, Buckingham NICKS, the Rhino. There's the cover. More dynamic, more articulate, more fuller, but not much. But again, great record. If you're a Fleetwood Mac fan, you probably have it. If you're not, you probably want it. If you don't have it, you want it. So get it. Hopefully you get one at a good price because they're sold out. So thank you again, and I hope you enjoyed this little review, my impressions. Just my impressions, just my opinion. But of course, this record, historical. Didn't sell well when it first came out. Kind of a bomb. It was available as a cutout. Thumbs down. But, you know, sometimes a wine takes a little bit of time to get better. Sometimes people don't bloom right away. A flower doesn't bloom when it first opens. It blooms over a course of a few days, whatever. You know what I mean. Thanks a lot. Keep rocking. If you haven't subbed, please consider. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed my little review impressions of these ABC comparison shootout, if you will. Thanks a lot. Keep rocking and stay safe. Ciao. Oh, and wait till the end. I'm going to do some Fleetwood Mac stuff on my end screen. So if you're interested, I do a whole thing on what's your favorite incarnation of Fleetwood Mac. And I said mine was Bob Welsh. Here again, this needs to be up there. Keep rocking. Thanks, Don. Really appreciate it.